The art of the pause might be what's missing from your voiceover read. Tell you all about it next on this week's DeWeese Directive. Hey there, Bill DeWeese from VoiceOverRevolution.com, and welcome once again to my DeWeese Directive. We are celebrating over 500,000 views to this channel. Now it's by far the most viewed and subscribed to voiceover-related channel on YouTube. And I want to thank you for joining me. And if you haven't, I hope you'll subscribe, and I hope you'll share the word with all of your voiceover friends, because here I provide tips, strategies, and share knowledge to help you excel and move ahead at warp speed in your voiceover career. And today I want to talk about the art of the pause. I often refer to it as chunking a script. One of the big challenges that many of us face when reading a voiceover script is that adrenaline tends to increase a bit when we begin to perform. I'll call it performance anxiety, but by anxiety I don't mean a nervousness or a fear. I simply mean that when we are on, when the microphone's in front of us and it's time to record, the adrenaline just slightly increases in our system, causing us to read faster than we normally would. And usually we're unaware of it at the time until we go back and listen later. So one of the strategies that I employ and that I teach my students is to chunk a script down. In other words, we all know that we can take a breath or a slight pause where the punctuation dictates, a period or a comma, for instance. But there are usually many other opportunities to take what I'll call a micro pause. That's where we begin chunking the script down. And by doing that, it forces us to slow down just a little bit. And it allows us just in that microsecond to better process what we're talking about and what we're getting ready to talk about. Remember, voiceover is not about reading words on a script. It's not about sounding good. It's about communicating meaning. So anything that we can do that makes what we read more compelling, then I think is worth our consideration. So let me share with you how I would chunk a script by using micropauses. What I have here in front of me are just a few lines from a standard training narration. And I'm going to read it through for you once, doing pausing where the punctuation dictates, periods and commas, but only where there's punctuation. PDFs will open in Adobe Reader and display the word secured next to the file name at the top of the window. Microsoft Office documents will display a yellow bar indicating that the file is protected by interlinks. Users can click View Permission to see the protection details. So I read through those several lines, only pausing where there is punctuation, period, comma, etc. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through it for you again, sharing with you opportunities and places within the script where I can place a pause. And by the way, when I do this, especially with a longer form script, I'm not reading through all 20 or 30 pages of the narration and marking up where I want to pause. This is all done on the fly. As you force yourself to slow down, and by the way, I rarely have to instruct somebody to speed up their read. It's almost always, hey, just slow it down and take your time. By the way, I have to advise myself to do that on occasion. So what I'm going to do is read through this and just tell you where I see opportunities for a micropause, a chance to just take maybe a quick sip of breath or just to pause long enough to better process what you're talking about and what you're preparing to talk about. Here's an example. PDFs will open in Adobe Reader, pause, and display the word secured, pause, next to the file name at the top of the window. And there's a period, so an obvious pause. Microsoft Office documents, micropause, will display a yellow bar, micropause, indicating that the file is protected by interlinks. There's a period once again. Users can click View Permission, pause, to see the protection details. Okay, so I've shared a few places where I'm going to implement just a micropause to allow my mouth and my thinking to catch up with my reading here. So here's an example of what that would sound like actually being implemented. PDFs will open in Adobe Reader and display the word secured next to the file name at the top of the window. Microsoft Office documents will display a yellow bar indicating that the file is protected by interlinks. Users can click View Permission to see the protection details. Now, you may have to go back and listen and watch the video again to catch up those very subtle pauses. But by implementing those pauses. I've chunked the script down into manageable phrases that will allow me to better process and communicate the script, therefore making it more compelling, therefore winning more auditions and making more clients happy. So something that I would encourage you to begin implementing and see if it helps your read. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon.